And when you look at what's happening now in our current society, and you hear it many times at openings of conferences, even the Denver City Council opens with a land acknowledgement. Basically, it's breaking down the invisibility of American Indian, Native American people. And the invisibility is the misunderstanding and not understanding who we are. I'm Rick Waters. I'm Executive Director of the Denver Indian Center. I'm Kiowa and Cherokee and have lived in this area since 1984. When you look at the history from the reservations, the boarding schools, to the Federal Relocation Act, which Denver was one of the original cities, you had an influx and a large number of tribal people coming into the city looking for opportunities. And this was in the 50s and 60s up until now. And so what you have is people growing up in the urban areas, Native people, but losing that connection with their community and knowing and learning through their family ties. And if grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousins are not there nearby, where are they going to be immersed in learning about their history, their background, their language, and things that are tied to it?
They stand up and they straighten them, and then they dry out. And when they get dried out, they're even as big as they are, they're way lighter. When they're fresh cut, they're really heavy. This is a really neat area, just in general, and looking out and across and seeing the mountains, knowing that you're really near the plains, because you just start to go over a couple of hills here and you're starting to hit that transition area. I'm Phil Gover. I'm Pawnee and Choctaw. I grew up in small town Cushing, Oklahoma when I was really young. Let's scoot up a little bit and let's get in a long line. It's mainly just to give these urban Native youth this opportunity to, one, use for those that are culturally tied to the plains, a little bit of learning about that cultural aspect of doing the tipis and staying in them, but also a little bit of you're outdoors, you're dealing with the weather, you're dealing with the heat, you're dealing whatever it is, and it's a little bit of acknowledging there are certain things you may not have control over, but you do have control over how you're going to handle it, take care of it. Okay, this one, come over on this side. So the initial idea was kind of along that lines of educating, but also getting some empowerment and finding out they can do things that they had no knowledge of initially, possibly, and then learning how to do something that ties back into their tradition and culture, and hopefully utilize that in the rest of their life. Is kind of how we looked at it.
The opportunity came with a grant through the state of Colorado, the Outdoor Equity Program, and we applied and were awarded. And basically, we will provide an outdoor camp this summer, 2023, and also next year, 2024. Prior to COVID, we were just in the stages of revitalizing our youth programming, which is around self-reliance, self-determination, education, all the above. But then the pandemic hit and kind of put everything on hiatus. So we're slowly revamping and revitalizing our youth programming.
So today we're doing a parfleche activity. So this is very important because it also teaches them what we have done traditionally back in the past. This is a traditional art form. We have it done on a goat rawhide today, but previously we would have done it on a buffalo hide or on an elk hide, and usually we would have this to signify like our winter counts. But today we are just doing it on little small things. The children are doing earrings, medallions, chokers, necklaces.
It's a little bit of acknowledging that relationship, and we do cover a number of different things. One is also being in that we're out here in nature, so we have to be aware. We don't live out here like we used to. We live in these houses, so we're coming into a space where the animals and the different beings that are here daily, and this is their home, and we're essentially being a part of it, and we got to be aware of that. Let's get this camp started. Yeah. We ready?
Beautiful, natural place, and it's used for gatherings, ceremonies. I know they have sweat lodges, and they have different gatherings, and I believe even had burials up here in this area. So in many respects, it's especially, I'll even use the term sacred to a lot of people, particularly Cheyenne or Arapaho, This was by treaty their land. I'm Kiowa. This was our land as well, even prior to that, along the Front Range. And so, what better to acknowledge the land that natives, before it was Colorado, this was Indian country, and it still is. And so an opportunity for the young people to come here, experience what it might have been like for some of their tribal ancestors, it's something that we hope that more and more of the community, the community at large, will have a better understanding of knowing that timeline in history and what brought us to this point.